Welcome in. This is your crash course for how to win your 2026 fantasy league. We're going to cover everything in this video: players to target, players to fade, draft strategy, what spot in the draft you should be picking from. We got you all covered here. Watch till the end of the video. We're going to keep this nice and concise. Let's jump right into it.
All right, Dan, let's answer the most important question here just to begin is, hey, if you can choose your draft slot, what slot are you going to take?
I prefer to draft somewhere between the 109 to 112 because the running backs really tend to get gobbled up in that late first, early second range. So I don't want to be left out in that and forced to draft like Justin Jefferson or CD Lamb or someone like that in the mid second. I mean, not that that would be like bad value or anything. I mean, those are great players, of course, and those guys don't even typically fall there. But I'm going to plan for the worst. I'm going to assume that the league I play in is really smart and that those running backs are going to get gobbled up because there's a big tier fall off after Derrick Henry, especially with Jeremiah Love having the high ankle sprain now. So my favorite strategy is the double hero running back, basically taking running backs with my first two picks. And the best place to do that is late first round, no earlier than the 109, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that in a 12-team league out of basically the 1 to 4 slot. Now, if you guys are in an 8 to 10 team league, you definitely are going to want to consider then doing the 101 because you actually might have that running back fall to you. And even then, you might have an absolutely elite receiver falling to you that should not. So, something to consider basically on an 8 to 10 to 12 team league. But yeah, for those of you in this 12 team league, very, very important to note that if you want two running backs early, you got to be on the back half guaranteed of your draft board. And the reason we are bringing that up and why it is so important is because if there's anything that you should take away from this video, it is that you need to come away with running backs early and often. I don't care what videos you've seen on Instagram of someone saying, "Hey, this is how you dominate zero RB." Do not listen to that. Please do not. It is absolutely ridiculous advice, in my opinion. You should not do that. Yes, we want to be creative, but I think a great way to think about it is an expected value. A running back that's going at the 107 is just a running back that's generally going at the 107, and every other year you're paying a normal price, or at the 205. But if you take a running back at round six, instead, let's say you pick a receiver early, that running back at round six is going to be pushed up significantly from previous years, and the receivers in that round six option is basically going to be far better. So receivers down the board are very good. Running back values down the board very bad, to put it in simple terms. So keep that in mind. If there's anything you take away from this video, please let it be that.
Yeah, and it's also just about scarcity. Running backs are scarce. Receivers are kind of a dime a dozen.
Exactly. Yeah. So now that we answered we answered the kind of the running back dilemma question here of what do you do just drafting running backs in general and how to do out of the draft slot. Let's start this mock draft. All right, like we said, you kind of want to be on this back side of the draft board, especially if you want to execute, a double running back start, which we highly recommend, especially in these 12-team leagues. So let's fire off this mock draft here. All right, Dan, we are up on the clock at our 109 slot. Like we've been saying, we need to go running back here early. That's the whole draft strategy that we keep hammering down. So, Dan, what running back here at the 109 are you going to take? This is pretty standard here. I think everyone is going to see this in their league at the back end of their first round.
Yeah, I absolutely love James Cook here. He's a huge target of mine. I mean, he pretty much like checks all the boxes. He's an awesome player and a great offense on the Bills, and he has been. I was trying to think of the right way to put it. He has been an awesome producer of fantasy points the past two seasons, and I think he could even reach a new level this season. The Bills have had some coaching changes, and from what I've read, there is some possibility that they're going to use James Cook more in the passing game. If that happens, he could really unlock that elite potential where he could like finish as a top three running back. So I absolutely love both his floor and ceiling. I think he's a perfect pick here at the end of the first round.
Yeah, absolutely agree with him being an awesome floor pick. I do have concerns. Obviously, that's one of our biggest disagreements in Dynasty is James Cook. But I do have some concerns about his ceiling. But I have concerns about all these guys' ceiling in this range. There's kind of a bone to pick with every single running back here. So we go around again, pretty standard minus AJ Brown going. Normally, like Justin Jefferson or something would go there in this mock. So we're back up on the clock here. Again, we're looking running back generally. We're gonna pretend Jefferson's not there because no one's taking AJ Brown at the 201 like in this mock. Ashton Genty, Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry are basically our options. My mind here goes obviously Kenneth Walker is projected a ton in a really awesome offense. Projects out pretty similarly, like for workload to Genty. I've been having a tough time between those two myself. Where do you lean here, Dan?
I mean, I absolutely love both of these running backs. I'd be thrilled to get either one of them as my RB2. So I don't think you can really go wrong here either way. I think I'd lean slightly toward Genty because he's just the more established pass catching running back. And we're basing this on a full PPR league. So I think he gets the tiebreaker there.
Yeah, I think if you go in like maybe half PPR standard and you're not sold on Genty, you can definitely go Kenneth Walker there. But nonetheless, two awesome running backs. Of course, Derrick Henry, a phenomenal option as well. One of the best things about this draft is, if you're sitting there in that mid spot, you don't get pick 9, you might have Derrick Henry just fall right in your lap.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to add about James Cook is that he does have the skill set to be a really good pass catcher. I mean, he did that in college. I mean, that was something he was known for. He did it early on in his career with the Bills, and the Bills have kind of gotten away from that, and partly because they have Ty Johnson, who's a really good pass catcher and third down back, but. We know James Cook can do that. So it's just a question of are the Bills going to utilize him that way?
No, absolutely. And, we get a major question here at round 3. This is where we kind of decide where you want to go in the draft. Obviously, round 3, we should be looking at wide receiver. However, Brees Hall falls here. He should be good to go for week 1. Dan, would you rather go with a running back here in Brees Hall and basically solidify the running back position for basically the rest of the draft until a value falls? Or would you rather, take our pick here at receiver?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't hate it if you want to go Brees, and then just kind of fade running back for just about the rest of the draft. I would be okay with it. I'm wondering though, for the sake of this video and for showing viewers what they'll probably be looking at, um, maybe going wide receiver makes more sense. T. Higgins is definitely calling to me. I mean, just being in an awesome Bengals offense. He has such a high weekly ceiling. He's just a player I love to own in redraft.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is that I would basically treat, especially if you have like any running back here, whether it's Kyron, Javante is here, Brees Hall. Again, maybe we could pretend Brees Hall is not even here and like be considering Javante. The one thing I would think about this draft slot is I'm actually kind of more thinking that this pick right here is a 4-4, unless you have you're a million percent sure on one of these receivers. Now, I'm personally not a million percent sure. I like basically all these receivers. So I'm kind of thinking in this area here, we know that one of them are going to be there at the next pick.
Right.
That's why I would lean running back here for sure
Okay.
and just lock it up. But
Yeah, let's go for it.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, I like both Brees Hall and Javante Williams. I mean, I might slightly lean toward Javante Williams just because he feels a little bit safer. Brees Hall does have the groin issue,
yeah.
so that's probably the way I would go. But yeah, definitely don't mind swinging on the upside of Brees Hall, who probably has more upside than Javante Williams, especially since Brees Hall is such a good pass catcher. And that is a pretty sick start, starting with James Cook, Ashton Genty, Brees Hall. Massive upside there.
Yeah, the best thing about a 3 running back start, again, I mean, geez, there's so many receivers down the board. You said there were a dime a dozen. As you can see here, boom, still some awesome receivers: McConkey, Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson on the board. Man, who do we pick here? Genuinely, you could talk me into anyone. I think that's a very important thing I want to say in this area. This is a very flat tier for receiver, so feel free to basically pick anyone that you guys have any conviction on. I do really like Ladd, Flowers, Garrett Wilson here. Those are probably my top 3.
Yeah, I think I would lean slightly toward Flowers or Wilson. I'm probably between those two there. I would be thrilled to get either of them. I think I might lean slightly toward Flowers, but I like Wilson nearly just as much.
Yeah, we'll grab Flowers here. I think if I was drafting myself, I would probably go Garrett Wilson, but again, it's just like such a close decision that it's not too important for us to like mull over that. We said how we felt.
Yeah,
And
and just to give a little pitch on Flowers, I mean, he kind of quietly finished as I think it was like the wide receiver 12 in points per game. Um, and that was with Lamar Jackson banged up for like most of the season. If Lamar's healthy, they also bring in a new coaching regime that could pass the ball more. I mean, a lot of the issue with Flowers is just the Ravens were running the ball too much. So I really am excited about Flowers' potential. He's a really good real life receiver. I think he could like hit that like peak season in his career where he could finish as like a, top 5, top 6 running back if Lamar stays healthy and all the stars align.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Lamar goes here, or quarterbacks are probably going a little bit earlier in this mock than they would normally, but so at least we don't have to worry about that. And I think that's a good moment, if you want to write something down. And now, if you're an 8 to 10 team league, you can definitely talk me into an elite quarterback. In fact, you could definitely talk me into one. I think that actually might not be too bad of a strategy.
Yeah.
However, if you're doing a 12 team league like we are here, I would highly recommend against going, even Josh Allen, Lamar, as good as they are, Burrow, May, they just go too high. When you go, as we'll see in the late rounds, at least in a real draft, again, we don't know how like the computer is going to necessarily draft back then. Maybe they take 3 quarterbacks, but you can pretty consistently get, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, some like literal QB1s over multiple years now. You can basically get them in double digit rounds for free. So Kyler Murray, Malik Willis, there's a bunch of awesome targets back there. So we both pretty much lean late round quarterback. Obviously a very important question to answer for the viewers here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in general with the onesie positions, quarterback and tight end, I'm pretty much like fading them until like a value falls to me somewhere that I just can't pass up. So that's how I'm dealing with it. Otherwise, I'm probably drafting a running back or receiver because I think like the real philosophy for me here is I really want to win my flex spot, my flex spots. I mean, I think in this league we have two flex spots. Um, that's where I really want to win. I want to be better in my flex spots than all of my other league mates. So if I'm drafting my 2 flex spots before everyone else, I think that's gonna be a massive advantage there. And I love the depth at quarterback and tight end. I'm still gonna be able to get good ones later, or just where the value falls.
Yeah, quarterback and tight end are the easiest ones to basically make up late. Also, the easiest things to fix on the waiver wire. I mean, you're just generally going
Yeah.
to have more options there. So
Hmm.
I would generally say that is just wait for a big value. Like my first draft, I did go Trey McBride at 307. I didn't plan on taking him. It's just he fell. Was I
Yeah.
going to take him at the 212 if he was there? No, I wasn't going to. So, yeah, important to note that, obviously, with the onesie position. So, obviously, we have some awesome running backs here. And we got 3. Probably a normal draft. Again, I think maybe a couple of these receivers went a little early, and you might see Tootin and Swift kind of go off the board here. So, let's take a look at the receivers then. Realistically here, right? We talked about the onesies, how we're not like too focused on those right now. Where are you leaning on receiver here? I think this is like an option where people are starting to get very skewed. I do see a man down the board here that you might be very interested in, Dan.
Yeah, Parker Washington is just such a massive target for me. If you're in a sharp league, I definitely don't think it would be crazy to consider him here in late round 5. I mean, he's probably not going to last that much longer than this, and the majority of leagues, unless it's just like super super casual. So yeah, if this were a real league, I think I'd take Parker Washington here. If you wanted to play the ADP game a bit more and hope we get Parker Washington following us in the next round with our next pick. Um, I think Jameson and Williams or Christian Watson would be nice, but real league, real money on the line, I'm taking Parker.
Yeah, I think for the viewers at home, I highly doubt they're gonna have, someone, reaching up a massive because they might not be drafting on sleeper as well. He's the highest ranked on sleeper by far. He's actually in the like 100 and something on I think ESPN. So for the viewers here, just something important to note in Parker Washington, probably one of the sharpest picks in our opinion you can make.
Mm-hmm.
Above ADP. So don't be afraid to take him in this range if you have any hint at all that you need to with your league mates.
Yeah.
But if your league mates don't know what they're doing, you can try and keep this secret weapon for round 7, maybe round 8 if you really try to push it. I don't know if I would push it that far, but this is our little Parker Washington advertisement to take him. Let's for this draft because I think we're gonna get him here at the 604 if we want. Let's pick another receiver here and then we'll take him on the turn.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And just for anyone that's more casual or hasn't been tuned into all the reports and everything, but basically the elevator pitch on Parker Washington, I mean, he was pretty much a league winner at the end of last season, and there's definitely good reason to believe that he could pick up where he left off. The buzz hype, has been out of control on him this offseason. It definitely appears he is Trevor Lawrence's wide receiver 1, even over Brian Thomas. And Trevor Lawrence has a great history of preferring to throw to targets in the middle of the field, like Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram in years past. So I think Parker Washington is in for a monster season.
Yeah, also was just one of the best wide receivers post bye week last year when he was actually being used. So,
Yep.
yeah, everything's trending very well for him. He's a pick that your kind of casual league mates are not going to be high on very likely. So, very important. We tout, probably one of the biggest targets for you guys in these drafts. One of the biggest fades I'll just throw here is DJ Moore. I think a lot of people are going to see that wide open catch in the preseason. And just like raise him up the ranks. Not something I'm interested in. Been very inefficient every single year. He's basically only going here because he signed with Buffalo. I mean, obviously he could have some spike weeks. I envision I would say a boomer bust type of player here that I think might lean more towards bust when it's all said and done. I think you get a very similar thing in a better players, just with JMO, Christian Watson, obviously Roma Dunze, Mike Evans is a little banged up right now, but who do you want to take here, Dan?
So wait, do we go with Parker then?
We'll take him at the 604 here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So before then, I think I might lean toward Christian Watson. I mean,
let's do
he
it.
appears to be the wide receiver one for the Packers. I think I would prefer that over Jamison Williams. Of course, I love JMO. Awesome player, awesome talent, explosive as hell. But obviously, Amon Ra is going to be the wide receiver one in that offense. That's pretty much never going to change. And then I think there's good reason to believe that Laporta could be the second target in the offense. I mean, he's generally out targeted JMO when both players have been healthy. And also with the Lions' new offensive coordinator coming from the Cardinals, you can think of the history there with Trey McBride. I definitely think there's good reason to believe in a good Laporta season. So there's a little pitch for Laporta as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for again, more casual viewers, this might be a pretty hipster wide receiver room. Again, all these guys are, it's kind of how we identified like George Pickens last year, for example. These guys all are extremely efficient wide receivers. They're not the box score, whether it's been injuries or opportunity, might not be the most impressive, just like it was for George Pickens last year. So you don't have to take these players. We're just leading you guys towards where we're personally going here. Obviously, so many good wide receiver options. I know a lot of people might be Roma Dunze in that area, obviously with the big draft capital and the big name. Up to you guys ultimately in your drafts, but we're just giving you guys some extra recommendations, obviously with the player takes. So at the 709, here we are back up on the board here, right? We're looking at running backs. RJ Harvey, something I'm not crazy about. Although I will say, like for being, running backs being as expensive as they have ever been, I can actually kind of low key get behind RJ Harvey, which might seem shocking to you, Dan. I prefer, honestly, Ramondre Stevenson isn't too bad of a pick either if we ever wanted another running back. Of course, some phenomenal wide receivers here, though. Some that we really, really like. So, what are you thinking in this slot here, Dan? Where we're kind of at 3 receivers, 3 running backs.
I mean, I definitely want to take a look at quarterback and tight end and make sure that like some great value there hasn't fallen because like I think this would be a great time to consider that because I mean basically if you look at our team so far, we're all set at with our 2 running backs, our 2 wide receivers. We're loaded up in the flex with Brees Hall and Parker Washington. We're definitely winning the flex like I talked about earlier. So this would be a convenient time to take a quarterback or tight end if the value is there.
Yeah, I did take a little look at that. I think Jackson Dart's really the only thing that's sticking out to me.
Mm-mm.
He's even behind an ADP, and at tight end, there's just really nothing there right now.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the value isn't there. So I mean, I say we keep hammering either running back or receiver. Let's go to the wide receiver. Okay, yeah, you're on wide receivers right now. Um, I mean, Quentin Johnston is the name that stands out to me. I mean, he is a little further down in ADP in a more casual league. You could probably wait longer for him, but he's probably my favorite wide receiver if we're going with that position. If we're just taking the best available, a lot of people love Lad this year. I also like Lad, but I think QJ is a very similar bet and he just costs a lot less.
Yeah, let's go for the ultra hipster wide receiver
All
start
right,
here.
I love it.
For the people, yeah, QJ is one of the best values, probably in my opinion here in redraft. And honestly, I regret not taking him in my first draft. I did go Lemon, right over him there. Can't remember if that was before Lemon got hurt or not, but nonetheless, obviously I like both those receivers a lot, especially if Lemon's healthy. We're back up on the board here. Wow.
I
Okay. Dart goes.
I just noticed Jonathan Brooks is still there. He probably
Oh,
wouldn't be there in a real draft unless it was really casual.
yeah.
But that might be the best value there. I mean, Chuba Hubbard is banged up. He's a little questionable for week one. I mean, there could be a chance for Jonathan Brooks to establish himself. And he's a player the Panthers drafted fairly early in the NFL draft a couple years ago. Massive talent and upside. He might be too enticing to pass up here.
Let's cheat a little bit because again, if you're watching this video and you're playing like most people a home league,
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks might be on some people's radar, but look at his ADP, right? They may not be. They may be on his radar at his ADP of 123 here. That's not even. We're not even close to that right now. So
Yeah.
he absolutely might be available in round 8. Now, again, if you're playing in some sharp leagues, you're gonna see him probably gone by now. However, maybe
But I
not
think we
like
could
too
have
much
taken
earlier.
him. Yeah, I think we could have taken him where we took QJ and just
Yeah,
basically swapped the two of them. So
pretty much. Yeah.
I didn't notice Brooks was available. So you could almost just like flip those.
Yeah, so another
But
great
either,
target for you guys.
yeah,
Like again, especially if you need a running back late, they're very hard to come by. Probably our favorite one down the board here. Again, I actually really do like RJ Harvey for kind of all the same reasons that 801. It sounds so disgusting to say. It just like here's a couple like players I would not be drafting here. I think are important to mention. Normally, you got to take Pollard around 7 in your guys' leagues and Dobbins just because people need running backs. They push them up the board and Chuba Hubbard. These are 3 running backs I have pretty much zero interest taking. Like, I think if you basically want to lose your league, you would pick all 3 of those running backs. Do you have and Rico Dowdle as well? Would you disagree with any of that, Dan?
no, not at all. I mean, all pretty like low ceiling. Yeah,
Low floor, like it's
yeah. Basically, it's like the DJ Moore of running backs. Like, just steer clear.
yeah. I mean that might almost be like disrespectful to DJ Moore somehow because I mean like those running backs like again J.K. Dobbins as the workhorse had like 11 points per game. I mean last year people are acting like that's very enticing. I don't really understand it. I don't know what the ceiling is there. If there's a ceiling, it's a player like RJ Harvey going in the same spot at least, or again go for Jonah Coleman or something. Go for Jonathan Brooks, of course, over them. So want to make that very clear. I would steer clear of all those running backs. Those are probably some of the worst picks you can make on the board. Now it might age that might age poorly in week 1 or 2 or something, but by the time we're at week 17, I think you'll be very happy that you passed on them. So let's take a look now, Dan, at the quarterback in tight end position to see what's going on there. Obviously, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix here. Now, the one thing is like, again, I don't know if we want to cheat here, but like, no one's taking like multiple quarterbacks, in the first 9 rounds. You should be able to have Trevor Lawrence and Mahomes and guys like that in this area. What do you want to do about that here, Dan? Should we pretend that we can get guys like how you normally would, or do you want to
No,
just roll with what we got?
no. I say we roll with what we have. Let's pretend we're really in this real life scenario, and how would we deal with it? I mean, I definitely don't think Brock Purdy or Bo Nix would be bad picks if we just wanted to lock up a really damn good quarterback. I definitely don't think there'd be anything wrong there, especially since we're so loaded at running back and receiver. And then how about tight end? Is there any kind of value there right now?
Not necessarily. I mean, Dalton
Yeah.
Kincaid's there, but that's about it.
I mean, I don't hate Kincaid as like an upside swing. I mean, I've been skeptical of him in the past, but his metrics were really good. If the Bills ever decide to use him in a more full time role, I don't think he was like fully healthy last year. So I don't hate that as an upside swing. I think that could make sense on this kind of build. And if Kincaid ends up being a bust, we can probably get a pretty reasonable tight end off of waivers. We could consider drafting a second one, but it's probably not something I typically want to do.
What do you think about fading going like Dallas Goddard and just trying to get a guy that might score a lot of
Yeah.
touchdowns?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love Dallas Goddard in general. I think he's a rock solid option. I mean, the ceiling isn't like insane, but I mean, we could argue we have plenty of ceiling with the rest of our team. So I don't mind just sort of taking a double at tight end here.
Yeah, and what about? I mean, here's the thing. I'm looking at running backs are pretty washed here. Again, a couple.
Addison's kind of fun.
What's that?
Addison's kind of fun.
Exactly. That's where I was gonna say. Like, I
Yeah.
say like if Addison is here again, maybe another another hipster wide receiver picker. But these are all extremely high upside wide receivers here. Obviously like Diggs is there too. I do think you could talk me into like Diggs is kind of like a bit of a floor play. Obviously, it was like wide receiver 18 coming off the ACL last year. I do think we'll need to go basically like a quarterback here just so we don't get like like other teams having 3 quarterbacks. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
need to, but obviously Brock
No,
Purdy's.
I think I would. Well, are we saying this is a 4 point passing touchdown league or 6?
A lot of people are going to be playing a 4 point passing touchdown.
Yeah,
So
let's assume it's 4 points. So in that scenario, I think Purdy could make a lot of sense. He runs the ball a little bit. Even Baker does more than you would think.
mhm.
I think Baker could have a really big season as well. He's kind of got that chip on his shoulder this season.
Yeah, but I mean, with what we're looking at on the board here, I just say we go Brock Purdy,
Yeah,
and then we could even go with a second quarterback if we'd like, in like a Malik Willis or Kyler Murray or something late. Someone that's really good for 4 point passing touchdown. If we feel like it, if not, doesn't really matter. But obviously, a couple guys that we want to shout out
yeah.
for your 4 point passing touchdown leagues that you guys should be keeping your eye on for sure.
Yeah, and I also want to mention Josh Downs and Romeo Dobbs. I would have them right there with Addison. I think those are all really good targets this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd throw out KC. Look, basically for rookies here. I'd
Yeah,
much rather go for like a rookie like KC over guys like Golden. I know some people might still believe in Golden. That's fine, but I do think there are some other more enticing picks here. Round 11. Looking at running back, nothing's really standing out. Obviously, Jonah Coleman is there if we wanted like a deep stash.
yeah.
Uh, oh wow, we got Staped and Goddard. A ton of tight ends just went.
Yeah, I was thinking like after that Addison pick, we probably should have gone like quarterback and tight end at that turn there. So that was our bad. But yeah, for everyone watching out there, that
Yeah.
probably would have been the time to get our onesies.
Yeah, I mean, like in a normal league, that no one's gonna draft 3 tight ends or whatever's going on
Yeah.
here. So I mean, we could just pretend that like Bretton Strange if we want or something is.
Oh no, don't take Strange.
You don't
I
want him?
would take
Okay,
I would take either Jawan Johnson or Chig.
okay, yeah. I mean, I'd actually be Bretton Strange personally. I mean, they're all in the same
Really?
tier. Yeah, I'd be Bretton Strange. Just
Wow.
for
Okay.
offense, like none of these guys are a top option on their team. But Jawan Johnson, let's go with him because
Okay.
Tyson's down for
Yeah.
first half of the season. That's enough for me.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Yeah,
could
I
be the
think I
second
could see
option.
Jawan Johnson starting the season hot just like he did last year.
Yeah. He's the second option in that offense, so enough of a tiebreaker for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's take a look here. Again, Jonah Coleman, if he's there, really catches
Yeah.
my eye. Just a
Me
potential
too.
guy. We should definitely call out some receivers here for late rounds, like probably.
Stribling. Yes. Yeah, Stribling's been a big riser. We talked about him in
Yeah,
a recent video.
for those of you that are going to be drafting, we highly recommend drafting in your final rounds. Like basically some of the guys that could be the hottest waiver wire pickups early on. Jason Stribling is certainly one of them. Denzel Boston, another one. Obviously, a lot of people like Jalen Coker. I'm not too big on him, but Dan, you are a Jalen Coker guy too. At this price of round 12, I mean, like you're take him over Jerry Jeudy and these guys. I mean, my God. So
Yeah.
even I could endorse some Jalen Coker here. Of course, Cyrus Allen. For those of you that might not be
Yeah.
plugged in, like nerds like us, he's basically the Bill Krosky Merritt of this year, but he's a Chiefs wide receiver. So
Yeah.
another guy to keep your mind on. And even for some late guys, I don't like Chris Rodriguez too much, but I think you could do worse at running back if you're really in trouble. Tajay Spears, I think, is a phenomenal value. So really just throwing out some names here for you guys to consider if you get in trouble. I think you do a lot worse than throwing some darts there. What should we do here, Dan?
Yeah. And how many more picks do we have? 2?
We have 3 picks remaining.
Oh, okay. So wait, is Coleman still there?
Coleman is still there.
Yeah, I think he's oh God, Coleman and Stribling. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, even Boston. Yeah, those are all really good picks there.
I
Yeah.
went Coleman because
I like that. Yeah.
there's a lot more receivers than there are running backs.
Right. Exactly. That's the
Jake
tiebreaker.
Dobbins, do we really expect him to have his first healthy season ever? I mean, it's possible, but if anything happens to him, Jonah Coleman is extremely. I mean, he needs to be rostered. So
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be shocking if he was the Broncos running back one, by the end of the season, either through injury or just because he's the best player there in the backfield.
absolutely. So Stribling actually goes. Like we said, Spears another good pick. We do have Cyrus Allen still here at round 13, which might sound funny to some people that have never heard of him
Right.
before. But again, just a player that the drumbeat for him right now is insane. That could be a very good idea to just get him on a roster. What do you think here, Dan?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind Cyrus Allen. I do think that'd be a good pick. Also, Jalen McMillan caught my eye. He's kind of like my best candidate to be this year's Parker Washington, if there is one. That's not something you just get every day.
Yeah.
But Jalen McMillan is someone who's been productive anytime he's been healthy. He has had some health issues. I feel like some of it's been a bit fluky, and he's already banged up a little right now. So maybe I'm not making the best case for him here, but we've seen big flashes from him before, and I really do like the Bucks offense this year.
Yeah, I mean, we can go with him if you want here.
Whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
If you want to go Cyrus
Okay.
Allen and make a point about the rookies and the upside there, I'm good with that as well.
I'll make a point for the rookies on the upside here, just
Fair
because I think
enough.
people should go with Cyrus Allen.
Yeah.
If you have a chance late. Also, we don't even have a rookie receiver on this team, so let's get one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Obviously, yeah, Jalen Mellon could be a fun pick as well. I mean, we could take him here as well to get another one.
Yeah. I mean, he fell to us. So, yeah, I definitely think that's good value there. But, yeah, if there's anyone else you
Yeah.
like, I'm not too picky here.
Because there's just not value at quarterback and tight end, just because we're drafting with the CPU here. Let's just go ahead and take Jalen McMillan because he's the best kind of player on the board, or probably the best player on the board. There was a couple running backs that were interesting at one point there.
Yeah, handcuff running backs.
Keaton
Yeah. But I mean,
and
we're
stuff.
so loaded at running back. Like, I don't mind just taking a few extra dart throws at receiver to really try to hope we, hit on a lottery ticket, and then we're pretty much like a lead everywhere.
Exactly. All right, here is a look at our final draft. Pretty standard. Again, of course, we kept mentioning the quarterbacks. You should be able to do better, but round 10 Brock Purdy, we are very happy with. What was it, like QB5 or 6? I think actually QB4. Only 0.2 points behind Josh Allen and Drake May last year in a 6-point format. So don't be sleeping on a guy like Purdy. Of course, Nix, Lawrence, some other awesome options. We love Goff, Baker, Kyler, all those guys. So again, lots of depth late at quarterback. What do you think of our draft here, Dan, as a whole? How do you feel about it?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I think it's phenomenal. I would sign up for this team right now and be thrilled with it. Yeah, I think there were, maybe a couple mistakes we made in there. Yeah, I think the Addison pick probably should have been a tight end. But, I mean, it honestly didn't even turn out that bad getting Jawan Johnson. I mean, I don't think there's like that big of a difference between Jawan Johnson and Dallas Goedert. So maybe it even turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
I think it did.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're absolutely stacked at both running back and receiver, even though we kind of faded receiver a bit, taking running backs with our first 3 picks. But like that just hammers home the point that like receivers are kind of a dime a dozen. So like get your running backs early. Like, they're really going to fall off after, round 2, round 3. So yeah, get them while the getting's good. Then start hammering receivers, win the flex spot. And yeah, if it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, try to get a quarterback that gives you some rushing production. So yeah, guys like, Goff would be more of a target in a 6-point passing touchdown league. But you mentioned some of the other good targets to get that I think are applicable to 4-point. And yeah, I mean, I think Jawan Johnson will be really solid. And I mean, the risk of taking tight end early is that they need to be elite to justify the pick. I mean, if you take a tight end early, like in the first few rounds, and then he just ends up being like, the tight end 7, you know what I mean? It's like, then that's a terrible pick. You know what I mean? So that's the gamble in taking tight end early is like, you really got to be right about it.
Yeah, and if you're in half PPR, like I would just say, don't even think about it. I think it's got to be like full PPR to even like justify it because those big tight ends are like, they're target hogs, right? I mean, obviously they're scoring some touchdowns as well, but my mind goes to like even Colson Lovett, who we love in Dynasty and all that stuff. If you took him in a half PPR anywhere near here, like that's got like Kyle Pitts year 2 all written all over it. I'm not saying he's gonna be that bad, but like, I mean, what was he scoring? Like 6 points per game in half PPR? Like it was bad.
Yeah,
you do not want that. So I actually think it worked out pretty well. Again, just like going Tron Johnson. Again, like we said, you're gonna get a better option here. In my opinion, look how many tight ends went ahead of him. Jesus, like that's a ton of tight ends. You're not gonna normally see that. Basically, the trend here is, we get the 3 running backs early. You don't need to do that, but we do highly suggest 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds. And then at this point, I mean, we're 5 deep at receiver and have a couple, big upside swings late. Of course, the waiver wire always has receivers on it, week to week. Parker Washington was a guy last year that was, a league winner. So QJ at the start of the season was phenomenal. So a lot of Christian Watson also came off the waiver wire, so we got the waiver wire receiver core here. My God,
yep.
But yeah, I mean, basically what I've noticed from doing drafts is when you go running back early, my goodness, you are set up. You can do anything you want the rest of the draft.
Yeah.
Of course, you need to lean into receivers. The best thing, and you noticed it here, receivers were the best thing on the board for the rest of the draft, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like it. I mean, we still picked our spots to get another running back or two in
Yeah.
Brooks and Coleman. And that's what was nice is like you can still take some running back
Yeah.
value in the later rounds if it happens to fall to you. It's not like you can't take them, but you can kind of pick your spots there and mainly focus on wide receiver and the onesie positions. And also, Blake, do you want to quickly touch upon how your draft strategy would change in a half PPR and non PPR league?
I don't think it would change too much because I would be wanting to draft running backs even more
Right.
in a half PPR, as they're going to
Yeah.
get a slight edge there. And I would, yeah, lean into these QJs and Christian Watsons and Addisons even more in a half PPR. These are guys that can haul in a bunch of touchdowns. I just kind of want these like JMOs, these big players that could have those massive games and a lot of massive spike weeks. That's more what I'm looking for in a half PPR when I get in these later rounds.
Yeah, but I just want to emphasize the point that, the further you go into half PPR, non PPR, the more important running backs become and the more important touchdowns
Yeah.
become. So, yeah, if you're playing in a non PPR or half
Like
PPR,
I would not be
definitely.
taking Zay Flowers at 4-4 and a half PPR.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to get your receivers, but yeah, that might not be the best pick in the world. Yeah, I mean, because Zay Flowers traditionally hasn't been a big touchdown scorer, so maybe you'd go for someone more like a Mike Evans or Devontae
Yeah,
Adams, or
Garrett, even Garrett Wilson or something. Just someone that
yeah,
I think can
someone
rack
more.
up yards and
Yeah, although I mean, he's not Garrett Wilson's not in the greatest offense, but
yeah,
yeah, I could still see him scoring some touchdowns. But you'd probably want to put a bigger emphasis on getting players in really good offenses and players who have a good history of scoring touchdowns, being red zone targets. So yeah, you really want to focus on running backs and touchdowns in non or half PPR.
exactly. Yeah, a lot of you guys might be playing in there, so just keep note of that. Of course, yeah, we definitely would consider drafting. Yeah, those big TD guys again. Yeah, Adams and Mike Evans are some great calls.
Yeah,
Even
I also
Travis Kelsey is there at 8-5 at tight end. You might consider him. I mean, obviously, I think he'll go later in real drafts. I think you could even
mhm.
consider a guy like him who might find the end zone a lot. And we mentioned Dallas Goddard found the end zone a ton last year. So, uh, yeah, ultimately, I think this is kind of the skeleton key to your most optimal draft. You only have in a 12-team league, an 8.3% chance of winning. When you go with these three running backs early, or two of the three, you get them early. What you're trying to do is you're just trying to get all that running back production, keep it away from your league mates, and then give yourself as many chances as you can to find this year's like George Pickens, this year's breakout wide receiver. That's where you're really going to catch up this year.
Yeah. And is your strategy going to change too much if it's start two wide receivers versus start three? I mean, let's assume that you're still
Yeah.
starting the same total number of players where you have either, it's either start two wide receiver, two flex, or start three receiver, one flex.
Yeah, if it's
Like, is your strategy changing too much between those two options?
It really isn't. Now, if you're going to start three receiver, again, you can consider in the first 3 rounds going with a wide receiver there. However, because of just like I believe we're 5 deep here, and with again more options to replace these guys off the waiver wire throughout the season, trades, whatever. I would be perfectly happy with this wide receiver room and to start 3 wide receivers. I think we have enough. And
Right.
I think we also, we could have considered drafting more wide receivers down the board: Dobbs, Downs,
Yeah.
Reed, Diggs, whoever. So I really wouldn't change much, but it is important to note a lot of you guys might be playing like the start 2 wide receiver. Running backs, if they score the same amount of points as wide receivers, they both score say 18 points per game in your first round pick. You want to lean running back. I wish I could reference the research article on that. Maybe it was Ryan Heath, or maybe he referenced it. But running back points that are equal to receivers are more important in start 2 wide receiver leagues. If that makes sense. And like we said, it's because of the scarcity of the position.
I also just want to make the point that if you're in a shallower league, like you're only starting 7 offensive players and then plus kicker and defense, in those leagues, you would want to put a greater emphasis on getting a good quarterback and tight end. So you'd want to adjust the strategy a little bit. And if you're in a deeper league where you're starting 9 players, 10 players plus kicker and defense, then you can put even less emphasis on the quarterback and tight end.
Yeah, and people might be wondering, what are we doing with quarterbacks, or sorry, with defenses and kickers? Now we can definitely make some content, whether it's videos or shorts, telling you guys who to stream, who to pick in the late rounds. We're not gonna make too much of an emphasis on that in this video. Like honestly, they really aren't that important. Now, if you get the number one kicker, of course, we're just gonna be transparent with you. Are we studying kickers and trends on them? Not really. The glitch is just get Brandon Aubrey. I would just say don't worry about it too much. I think you could just get off the waiver wire like the kicker 2 or kicker 3 in the season if you're lucky, or kind of stream properly.
Yeah.
Especially for defenses, you can do that. Defenses, you could stream a really really nice overall finish. Week to week with bad defenses, you just got to pick the right matchups. So we're not putting too much emphasis on that.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can pretty much pick kicker and defense with your in your last 2 rounds,
Yeah.
and that's generally like the best way to do it. It's really not going to pay off to put that much like research or thought or effort into it.
Anything else we should add here, Dan, before we close out this video?
No, I think that covers everything really well. So yeah, hope this was helpful. And yeah, I think this pretty much gives you everything you need to win your home league, office league, whatever you want to call it. And I think the beauty about this specific team that we drafted here at the 109, I think this build would be successful in just about any common format. I mean, this would work in non PPR, half PPR, full PPR, start 3 receivers, start 2 receivers, 4-point passing touchdown, 6-point passing touchdown. So I think we did a really great job of drafting a very versatile team here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I hope everyone that watched all the way through has enjoyed the video and has gotten, a lot from it. And hopefully you guys, bookmark this or like it, whatever. When you go do your draft, if you're not doing it right now, you just come back and rewatch it or,
Yeah.
go through parts of it, if you need to be reminded. And we will definitely say, if you have questions about your draft, go to the comments and leave them there. We'll certainly answer them. And one final reminder: you don't need to pick these exact players. We're definitely more of the hipster, picks type, as we were saying. Like you don't need to go with these guys if you don't believe them. Go with your gut ultimately. But we'll certainly be making more, player take, advice and videos as the season goes on as well. We're not we don't want to put too much emphasis on the actual players here. The strategy is what is going to actually get you the results here.
Yeah, and if you need any help drafting, you can hire me or Blake to do the draft with you over the phone, or we can text, or however you like to do it. But yeah, we'll basically, be there with you and make sure that you absolutely crush your draft. So if you're interested in that service, join our free Discord. The link is in the description, and just post in there that you're interested in getting some help with your draft, and we would be happy to help you with that. Anything else you want to add, Blake?
No, that is all. Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, join that Discord, and peace.